gives me comfort, you guys, is while I'm sitting at home, staring at the ceiling, just wishing that I had someone to talk to, is knowing that none of you idiots realize how lucky you are.
Stuck in my head, only feel safe in my bed, but the anxiety is killing me.
So today's video that you're about to watch is me making a very basic and very flexible pickle recipe. Outside of the ratios of the 50-50 water to vinegar mix, everything else is negotiable. Make it how you want. You can make it spicier, you can throw some red pepper flake in there. For the sake of this video, I want to keep it simple, just give you two different varieties, sliced two different ways. And next week when I return, we'll be cracking open one of those jars a little early. It'll still be good, but it'll be earlier than it typically should. And I'm also going to be pairing that with my fresh ground beef bacon burgers. So enjoy. Alright, so today we're going to be making pickles. What I started with is I've already got my water and vinegar boiling. It's a 50-50 ratio. So I want to make sure I had enough to fill all 6 of my mason jars. So what I did was I filled 3 mason jars with water, 3 mason jars with vinegar, poured them into a pot that's on the stove, and then added half a cup of pickling salt. The next step I did off camera, just because it was literally pouring a pinch of things into a container, was small handfuls of black peppercorn. When the boiling water goes in there, it's really going to help that flavor bloom and make some really, really awesome pickles. So some of my pickles I like a bit spicy, and I'm using jalapeno. Learning from mistakes of the past, I wear gloves every time I handle jalapenos now because, well, last thing you want to do is handle jalapenos and then touch your face or something, and it burns. It's just not a good feeling. So I'm just going to run the knife through the jalapenos, get some nice, let's say, 1/4 inch thick slices, and 3 of these batches are going to be jalapeno. So I'm going to just divide up the jalapeno in the jars between these spicy batches, like so. Take those excess seeds, and if you want a super spicy batch, be sure to label it. If not, you can just take the excess seeds and toss them. The next ingredient, which is key to just about any pickle, is dill. So I'm going to cut off the excess on the stems, the part that doesn't have any of that delicious leafy goodness. So that way, well, A, it fits better because somebody didn't read the description and they ordered smaller mason jars, but also because there's not really much of a point of having that part of the dill in there. It doesn't impart any extra flavor, so it's just going to get in the way. So now you're just going to start grabbing bits of dill and dropping them into all of your jars respectively. There we go. And that was just a normal package of dill from the store. I pretty much just use all of it, not much of a measurement on there, it's dill. It makes your pickles taste fantastic. You'll end up with some scraps, unless you have something planned on later that involves dill. You can just let that go. Clean a little bit of your cutting board, wipe the dill off the knife. Now it's time for garlic. Cut off the, I don't know what that end is called, but cut it off. Crush, shake off of the paper. Or skin, I guess, because, you know, garlic's alive, it has skin, not paper growing on it. And then in the batches that don't have jalapeno, you're going to put 2 cloves of garlic each. Now, normally when I cook, I go way, way over the amount of garlic that a recipe suggests, but I promise you, with how long these are going to ferment, you don't need a lot of garlic. Too much will actually overpower your pickle. And you don't want an overpowered pickle. If you do, I don't know. Any recipe I teach you is really up for you to decide how you want it to taste and go from there. You might do something that you like better than what I do. The important thing with this recipe, more so than any other measurement, is the water to vinegar ratio. I've done a lot of research online and some trial and error myself, and I've found that a 50-50 water to vinegar ratio works best. So stick with that part at least. Other than that, just have at it. And you could use this recipe for other pickled vegetables too. You could do pickled onions, pickled beets, I guess. I don't know what else people pickle. Whatever you want to shove in a jar and have ferment for about 14 to 28 days, that's what you do. So, getting the cutting board cleared off. There's really no right or wrong kind of pickles, but I like using mini cucumbers. I got 2 packages of them. Start with the first one. So, first thing I do is cut off the ends. The ends really do that part of the pickle that whenever somebody gets it out of the jar, they usually bite it up and don't eat it. So, why bother having it in there? If you want spears, you're going to quarter your pickle, like so. Cut it in half once down the middle, and then cut each of those halves in half again. Finding that my jar is a bit short, because again, I goofed a little on my jar size when I ordered. I'm also going to cut these in half widthwise. So, got some mini spears. That's alright. The other kind of pickle that I like to do is slices, which will really coincide with next week's burger video. So, cut yourself some slices. About the same as the jalapeno, about a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch in thickness. Just run your knife through them. Good sharp knife is always the way to go. You tend to have to use less pressure, and therefore there's less risk to your digits. You know, people like keeping their fingers, and I am a strong advocate of keeping your fingers. So do that. Unless it's what you're into. I'm not here to judge, I'm here to shame. When the water comes to a boil, I'm basically going to fill every one of these jars up to where they start to go in a little, right towards where the lid's going to screw on. And then I screw the lid on, wait till they are cool enough to touch, because you are pouring boiling liquid in. And at that point, put it in your fridge, and I'd say at a minimum, and I'm going to do this for the sake of my next video, wait at least a week. I'll be doing that so I can make a burger video for everybody to see. But you really, the longer you wait, the better they're going to taste. So I have 6 jars here. I'm only going to be cracking one open next week for my awesome burger video, while the rest of them will just continue to sit there and ferment. Always remember to cut those ends off, because again, that is the part of the pickle that nobody ever reaches for. So why bother having it in your jar? If you're doing homemade pickles, you gotta bring them to a barbecue, or even just give them to someone, because people do like pickles. If anybody ever sends me pickles as a gift, I know I'm very appreciative. But anything you can do with pickles will make me happy. Alright, and got one more jar to go. And our water is starting to boil, which is fantastic. That timing worked out much better than I could have anticipated. Also, hey, links in the description. You can pick up one of these nice shirts that I designed, and a few other designs as well at one of the links down below. So, you know, do that. Check it out. And I'll be right back with the boiling. It's the final step. So what you're going to do is very carefully dip your measuring cup into scalding water, boiling water even. And then with a funnel, to prevent spilling too much, you're going to want to pour your pickling brine slowly in until the jar is filled just up to the brim. And then you're going to rinse and repeat that process. Pour slowly so as not to burn your little digits. Because again, this channel is very big on keeping all of your fingers intact. Now you're probably going to have more liquid left over than what you need. You're also going to spill some on the counter. And both of those are okay, because, well, for one, vinegar helps clean, so vinegar on the counter isn't that bad. And also white vinegar and tap water, and of course pickling salt, are relatively cheap ingredients, so you're really better off having more than you need as opposed to not enough to fill all of your jars. And what is nice about this, since vinegar is used for cleaning, just gonna turn around, take that lovely vinegar that just spilled on the counter, wipe it down, and the counter's going to be cleaner than when I started. Which, that's a win-win. Yep, so is the floor, apparently. Alright. That's it for pickles and giving myself a nice vinegar steam facial. And I'll see you guys next week when we crack these open and eat them.